1 month after my child was born, my wife walked out on both of us and left nothing behind. So I searched through her diary and was shocked to see what she had written. 5 years later, she came back with her boyfriend and pretended to be happy together, but I just closed the door on her face. From the time I was young, my biggest dream was always to have a happy family of my own and to become a father one day. I know that for some people, this might sound cliché or perhaps even a bit old-fashioned, but for me, it was something deeply rooted in my heart. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to be raised by two incredible parents who had a relationship that I can only describe as truly special. My parents' relationship was a beacon of love and stability, something that I admired and aspired to emulate. They met in high school, and even from those early days, it was clear to everyone that they were meant for each other. As a child, I noticed how they always treated each other with a deep sense of respect and kindness, no matter the situation. They weren't just married, they were best friends who shared a bond that was evident in everything they did. Seeing this day in and day out made me want that for myself. I didn't just want to get married to anybody one day, I wanted to find my own best friend, someone with whom I could build a life full of love, laughter, and mutual respect. More than anything, I longed to be a father, to have children who would grow up in the same kind of loving environment that I did. Because of my strong desire to have a meaningful, lasting relationship, I was always very careful and selective when it came to dating. I wasn't the kind of person who would jump into casual relationships just for the sake of it. I knew what I wanted, and I was determined to find someone who shared the same values and goals for the future. In high school, I did have a girlfriend, and I truly believed that she could be the one. I put my heart into that relationship, doing everything I could to make it work. But alas, the relationship did not work out. I guess sometimes people can grow in different directions, and that's exactly what happened with us. We simply grew apart, and eventually, we had to accept that we weren't meant to be together. When I went to college, I wasn't really expecting to meet anyone special. I had decided to focus on my studies and personal growth, figuring that if the right person came along, it would happen naturally. I wasn't in any rush, and I certainly wasn't actively seeking out a relationship. But, as life often has a way of surprising us, out of nowhere, Bonnie walked into my life. Bonnie was unlike anyone I had ever met before. She was the kind of girl who would immediately catch everyone's attention the moment she entered a room. There was always something about her that was simply magnetic. She had this incredible energy, she was a free spirit, full of life, and her happiness was contagious. It wasn't just her looks, though she was undeniably beautiful, it was her personality that truly made her stand out. She had a way of making everyone around her feel alive, and people couldn't help but be drawn to her. Because of this, I never thought anything would happen between us, since she and I were so different. Bonnie seemed so out of reach, like someone who belonged to a different world. I was content to just be her friend, enjoying the times we spent together in our group of friends without expecting anything more. But then, after several months of just being friends, Bonnie called me one afternoon and confessed that she had a crush on me and that she wanted to go out on a date. I will admit, it took me a moment to process what she was saying because it was so far from anything I had imagined. Bonnie, the girl who could have had anyone she wanted, had feelings for someone like me. It was a moment that completely changed the course of my life. Of course, our first date went really well, and I remember being on cloud nine afterward. We kept going on more and more dates, and eventually, Bonnie became my girlfriend. In the beginning, as with most new relationships, I saw Bonnie through rose-colored glasses. Everything she did seemed perfect to me. I was so infatuated with her that I couldn't see any flaws, or if I did, I brushed them off as insignificant. But as time went on and we got to know each other more deeply, I began to notice a few things that gave me pause, what you might call red flags. They weren't necessarily deal breakers, but they were traits that made me uncomfortable and caused me to question certain aspects of our relationship. One of the first things I noticed was that Bonnie had a tendency to look down on anyone who disagreed with her. Whether they were right or wrong, she was very confident in her opinions, which wasn't a bad thing, but she took it to an extreme. If someone had a different perspective and chose to voice it, Bonnie would immediately get defensive. Instead of engaging in a healthy discussion, she would start calling them out, often labeling them as stupid or ignorant. This trait made social situations with her quite tense at times. I still remember so many of my friends getting uncomfortable with the way Bonnie behaved towards them. Another thing that became increasingly apparent was her mood swings. Bonnie's moods could change in the blink of an eye, and these shifts were often extreme. There were days when she was full of energy, ready to take on the world. She would ask me to skip classes and go out partying with her, sometimes with people we barely knew. During these parties, she would do things that were frankly outrageous, things that left me feeling uneasy. But then, out of nowhere, her mood would shift completely. She would become withdrawn and distant and ask me to take her back home. She would then lock herself in her room for days without any explanation. These emotional ups and downs were hard for me to navigate. Bonnie's temper was another issue that became more evident as time went on. She could go from being calm to incredibly angry in a matter of seconds. When she got angry, it was intense. Her anger would escalate quickly, and she would sometimes lash out physically. I remember times when she would punch her fist into a wall or kick a trash bin in frustration. On a few occasions, she came dangerously close to hurting someone. These outbursts were frightening, and they made me realize that there was a side to Bonnie that I hadn't seen when we first started dating. As much as I cared for Bonnie, these red flags were becoming harder to ignore. As we continued to date, I found myself torn between the girl I had fallen for and the reality of the person she was showing herself to be. The incident that finally pushed me to confront Bonnie about everything wrong with our relationship happened due to an incident at a movie theater. You see, my guy friend had invited both Bonnie and me to watch a movie with him and his girlfriend. I thought it would be a nice double date, so I asked Bonnie if she wanted to join us. To my surprise, she immediately refused, saying she didn't like my friend's girlfriend. When I pressed her for a reason, she couldn't give me anything concrete, just that she didn't like the girl. This wasn't unusual for Bonnie. She often got into feuds with people without any legitimate reason, and she never really explained her dislikes. So, I didn't take her refusal too seriously. I told her that I was going to watch the movie anyway, and she was welcome to come if she changed her mind. What happened next was something I never saw coming. Imagine my surprise when, during the movie, Bonnie walked into the theater looking for me. At first, I thought she might have changed her mind and decided to join us. But then, out of nowhere, she came up to me and started screaming at me in front of everyone. She accused me of sleeping with my friend's girlfriend, claiming that was the reason why I had insisted on coming to the movie with him and his girlfriend, even though she did not want to go. She also claimed that clearly, I preferred other girls over her, and this was why she had come here to confront me. I was completely blindsided. Her outburst was so loud and aggressive that the entire theater turned to look at us. My guy friend and his girlfriend were understandably shocked and offended. They tried to defend themselves and me, but Bonnie wasn't having any of it. She loudly told them to stay out of it, insisting that this was between her and me. The situation quickly escalated, and I could feel the eyes of everyone in the theater on us. It was incredibly embarrassing. I didn't know what to do, so I just got up and walked out of the theater, leaving the movie unfinished. Bonnie followed me all the way to my car, still yelling at me, calling me a cheater, and refusing to let it go. Up until that point, I hadn't said a word. I had let her vent, hoping she would eventually calm down, and then I could explain myself. I saw her to continue and yell at me, but something inside me snapped. I was done with her. I turned to her, and for the first time, I yelled back. I told her that I was done and that she had crossed the line this time, and that I didn't want to be with someone who treated me this way. I remember telling her, with all the frustration and hurt that had built up over the months, that I couldn't be with a girl like her. The words came out with more force than I had intended, but they were the truth. I realized that Bonnie had been emotionally controlling throughout our relationship. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.